Welcome back to the class, everyone. We just got out of our Grand Arena Championship match here, and we got to fight our very first Relic 9 Galactic Legend Leia, and it was a little bit surprising who took her down because it was none other than Saxon himself. So this is the actual footage from the match. This is very recently, maybe an hour ago or so. Right after ISC, Imperial Super Commando, in the bottom left corner there at a whopping Gear 12, got a slight touch-up with a new ability and a reinforcement to one of his older abilities. So we used this team with him, with Relic 1 Saxon, my normal Maul. My Maul is actually pretty good, and then along with Candace and Wat Tambor. And basically, I don't even know where to begin with this. So for context, Maul lead has always been pretty good, well, for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons it's really good is if you use a character like Wat Tambor or someone else who gets a bonus turn in the very beginning of the battle, he can immediately toss a bonus turn to Maul because or rather 100% turn meter because Maul starts with Frenzy. So that's what just happened there in the very beginning. Wat used the special, Maul got 100% turn meter, and typically this isn't all that great right up in front because if the other team doesn't have an Obi-Wan Kenobi, you only get up to 3 stacks for your first turn, and then you rely on Candace to get you the rest of the way with turn meter, and sometimes it doesn't work out because an enemy team also has someone who gains turn meter, like Old Ben. But you'll see just why this doesn't quite frankly matter. So we're gonna go ahead and burn all 5 stacks of Maul's hits here on Leia, and I'll show Leia's mods after this. This isn't like someone who accidentally joined without mods. This is a real Galactic Legend that we're taking down here, and you'll see that we almost don't get her, but we have one final move left, and I was like, oh guys, can we get her down? Is this just gonna be enough to be able to beat her? And yeah, I guess I already gave it away, but sure enough, with our AoE here, the AoE itself doesn't do enough damage, otherwise we would have gotten 5 stacks of Anguish, and then it would have been just absolutely fantastic. But Gar and ISC get all the damage they need, and that's game. They kill her right out front. And again, I'll show mods when we look into this later, but I'm not modded correctly. We couldn't even take in a Datacron because I have a Gear 12 character on the team. My Saxon and ISC have pilot mods, which is a really fun way of saying absolute garbage mods that have like no speed or offense or anything useful for them. So this is just purely coming from our good friend ISC's new workout. His rework. And I'll let this play out just so you guys can see, the full measure of what actually happened in the battle. We do lose it, and the reason why is because Drogon is still a really good character, and when you try to cut so many corners on Gear 12 unmodded characters and really just a bunch of other things, you're gonna have a bad time. So what ends up happening here is Drogon has enough protection to cover all of his damage, goes forth, and then he just kind of wrecks the rest of the team. But honestly, I was pretty happy with this. I was in somewhat of a tight position with the defense my opponent had set, so being able to do this might have won us the match. I won't know until we get through it, but I'll just flip forward here a little bit. I'm not sure how entertaining the rest of this match will be. Drogon pretty much just one-shots everyone, and then we have to come in with troopers later to be able to clean it up. So that is how the rest of the battle goes. We actually did get the snipe on Galactic Legend Leia, and if again we take this out, so this is how the enemy was modded. They're R9, so that's great for them. They don't have ults, but I don't think that matters considering they died before they took a turn. But she has all the health primaries on here and all health sets, so she's pretty loaded to the teeth to have everything that she needs to be able to withhold hits from Gear 12 characters. Like if we look at my Mandalorians here real quick, and I didn't change mods because I didn't even know that he was going to get the rework after lock, so I was stuck with whatever I have, and I don't even have the brand new ability upgraded, so this wasn't really a factor. 100% of what killed Leia in this fight is this line here. Whenever a dark side Mandalorian ally attacks at a turn, they deal additional true damage and recover 10% protection, and whenever Imperial Super Commander or Saxon attacks a turn, the other attacks as well. So 2 different things are happening. Number 1, Gar and Imperial Super Commander are getting to assist a second time whenever Maul is calling in one of those mass assists, which that within itself is okay. That's actually not, it's kind of whatever. Their extra damage is really not that big of a deal, especially when you're going against the characters that have a ton of defense. The issue is when you start to look when it says they deal additional true damage and recover 10% protection. When you actually dig into the mechanics of it, it ends up being a really big number. So we're gonna flip over right now to the .gg site that'll actually show us in depth what is happening with this ability. I'm not sponsored by them. It'd be really cool if I was, so shout out to you guys. But if you go down to .gg, you can look up a lot of these characters and see actually what's happening behind the scenes with their abilities. This is how we found, by the way, the percent damages of each thermal from our last video or a few videos ago. So what it's saying right now is all the characters that are doing this true damage, that are dark side Mandalorians attacking at a turn, they're dealing 250% of their attacker's physical damage. To give you a little bit of perspective, not just be like, oh, that's a cool number. Maul's hits that also do true damage when he's calling everyone to assist, that starts at 60. So having 250 every single time that Gar and ISC and Canderous, because he is also a dark side Mandalorian, they're all getting to deal that much more damage in addition to all the other hits they're already getting to have. So when you think about it, Maul isn't just calling everyone to assist and getting a mass attack of 6 different hits, or rather, I guess, you know, 5 once you count out Watt himself, but you're getting 2 additional assists on top of that, plus true damage, so you end up getting 5 times the amount over, or not 5 times the amount, but 5 more hits in general. And Leia, every single time Maul was moving, was essentially having to take 10 plus hits of damage, which, as you can see, was adding up to quite a lot, to the fact that she couldn't even stand it, despite how poorly, and I keep stressing that, but how poorly my Mandalorians are modded right now. Like, these are my mods for my ISC. He was not modded well with, like, offense primaries or a matching set or more than like 4 speed on most of his mods. The thing is just horrendous. I mean, he has a crit avoidance arrow that doesn't... These are my reject mods. These are the mods that didn't go well, but can still affect the ship's base speed so that it actually does something. My Maul actually is modded really well. I'm not sure if... I'll just say that he has a ton of offense on all 3 of these primaries. So he was doing a good amount of damage. But the true damage, the additional true damage coming from Imperial Super Commando's unique, was not coming from Maul, because Maul wasn't attacking at a turn. Rather, it was the other 3. Even my Canderous isn't modded that well, because Canderous was doing true damage, but true damage is based off of your offense, not your crit damage. It's very specific about that. And I have Canderous modded for crit damage, which probably isn't even ideal. But even though he was still able to do a ton of damage, or at least enough to kill Galactic Legend Leia. So while I'm not sitting here saying this is going to be a counter forever, and in fact, we know, and I'm sure we'll get some super fun comments about it, but we've already been informed from the developers that they are going to be looking into or investigating this this issue of just going a little bit overpowered. I guess I'll share that right now. I know not a lot of people will be very happy with this, but the team is aware and investigating an interaction between ISC and Maul performing above expected power level. You think? We will keep folks posted as we know more. So what I'm guessing they're going to do is they're just going to keep looking at data. But if my Gear 12 poorly modded ISC is taking down an R9 Galactic Legend, I don't think this gets to stay, or at least not in the area that I think it do. It would be a little bit cool if they just caveated it to non-Galactic Legend matches, so that you can do really cool things outside of that. But I think we're getting more. I think this is going to get taken down quite a bit. Really, one of the big things that they could do that would allow the identity of this to stay in place while, stopping it from killing Galactic Legends is just taking down the true damage from 250 to a much smaller number, like 150 or 100. That would still retain a lot of damage in there and be doing a lot. And I will say, this probably, if CG were to not touch this probably wouldn't even stick around to its fullest extent, because you can put in a Rebel pre-taunt with Leia that keeps Maul from going directly at her. You have to clear it first, and then you would have to play the turn meter game with with the enemy team and your team with Canderous, giving Maul his second turn of 100% turn meter. So it would, this might not be like the best thing ever, but it's still just crazy to me. That's the whole reason why I'm making this video right now. It's because it's crazy to me that a really kind of a fan favorite character like Gar, shout out to Prime Force out there, for anyone who knows him ever, knows that he's a very big fan of Gar, and to see characters of this kind of gear level getting to snipe out a Galactic Legend in GAC without an Omicron or a Datacron or anything like that is kind of fun. I don't know if my opponent feels the same way, but in retrospect, he also has Maul, Gar, and ISC on offense, and his are a lot stronger than mine. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys for watching. Until the next time, stay awesome.